Welcome to NewsClick. We are in Brasilia. Here, People's Brics has established its own agenda. That 5 countries, what they want from their heads.
So the idea is that we could bring together comrades from political organizations, people's movements from all the countries that are member of the Brics.
Where, as the people of the world, we want to create an alternative space to imperialism, to capitalism. So this is people's space to make sure that we build the world that we want. A world of equality, a world where justice, equality, respect and dignity becomes the order of the day. That is why we are here, to join other comrades and people worldwide to make sure that capitalism does not hijack the will of the people.
From 11th November to 12th November, participants from Russia, India, Brazil and South Africa participated in a debate discussions in a very vibrant mood. China was missing country, but the experts from China fulfilled this gap.
We are looking for alternatives to this whole process of globalization that has gone on for the past 3 decades. And we know very well now that the impact of globalization has been extremely problematic for the working class in particular.
Brazil is a big country, and the participate of Brics is very important to against the imperialism, North American imperialism. The coup in Brazil in 2016 was for us very terrible.
I think that India is in a very similar situation as Brazil. So I think that the conversation between the two countries, and Brazil and India especially, we are in politically we are very similar nowadays. So I think the conversation between the two countries is very important to overcome these difficulties and the challenges that we are facing inside our own countries and in the external politics.
I'm Leticia from Brazil, from the movement of people affected by dams.
Where we are right now.
We are going to the Bolivia embassy to say that we don't accept the things what are happening there with Evo Morales, all the people there.
Hi, my name is Zoe. I'm from the United States. I work with People's Dispatch. We're currently headed to the Bolivian embassy to denounce the ongoing coup that was led by the right-wing fascist racist forces against the government of Evo Morales. He was forced to resign amid pressure from the military, amid pressure from the violent right-wing opposition. He is now on his way to Mexico. The right wing is continuing the attacks against the working class of Bolivia, against the indigenous people. They're burning indigenous symbols. And so we're going to the embassy to show our solidarity with the Bolivian people and the government of Evo Morales.
Companheiro embaixador do povo da Bolívia aqui no nosso querido Brasil. Nós viemos aqui nessa delegação de brasileiros, de internacionalistas do mundo.
Es muy triste ver que, a pesar de transformaciones tan profundas que han favorecido a todos los sectores de Bolivia, porque no solamente los sectores sociales se beneficiaron, incluso los sectores empresariales se beneficiaron del buen avance de la economía de nuestro país. La pobreza fue reducida a la mitad, ¿no? El analfabetismo fue eliminado de Bolivia. Y así puedo citar muchos logros sociales importantes que necesitaba el pueblo boliviano. Y también, vuelvo a repetir, fueron beneficiados todos los sectores, no solo los sociales. Pero a pesar de eso, el imperialismo y los sectores más reaccionarios que nunca comprendieron, que nunca admitieron que el pueblo esté en el poder, que nunca pudieron ni quisieron comprender que los sectores populares tenían derecho de gobernar su destino.
Alerta que camina, la espada de Bolívar por América Latina.
This solidarity has a long way to go. There was an announcement that there will be anti-imperialist march across the globe and especially in these countries. At the same time, there was a pledge to work for women and labor. The social security is much needed, and especially the US imperialism is going to be down. There was a whole slogans in the end, and the people came out in large number to say that the way US is invading the different democracies of the world is not done. And especially at this moment when we are talking, we have just received the information that the way Venezuela embassy is being attacked and it has been invaded, and there is a lot of tension around it.
So basically what was promised in 91 or what was triumphantly promised in 91 has now completely broken down. So the rise of the global right, Donald Trump, Brexit, so all this, the hollowness of that ideology has been completely exposed. So what happened in 91, I would say, is basically that it was a very unique moment for a short while, where we were in a unipolar world situation for a short while. So the United States had considerable military hegemony, it had considerable economic hegemony, and it had cultural and ideological hegemony also. And in all these three components, it was perhaps at its peak. And on the other hand, the Soviet Union, its greatest, the one force which had stopped, say, its expansion had collapsed. And not only was the collapse of the Soviet Union also had a massive impact, as all of us know, on anti-imperialist projects. It had a massive impact on anti-colonial projects. And across the board, there was a sense of retreat that took place in the mid-90s especially. So there was that moment for a couple of years, maybe for even a decade, where the United States was able to exercise a considerable amount of hegemony, maybe almost unprecedented if you look at history. And of course, one of the other developments that happened was that the United Nations, which earlier was at least offered a slight possibility of being a forum of, of various countries raising their issues, basically became a non-entity. And in its place, we had NATO becoming the enforcer of the imperialist agenda. And it would be accurate maybe to say that the 91 Iraq War, for the first Iraq War, was an excellent example of, it was a test case, a proof of concept of how imperialism would now be able to function.
One of the biggest problems is that popular movements are very atomized, they are very split, and there is no common strategy among them. So we'd like to discuss this topic and maybe to suggest some ideas which would help us to have a common struggle.
And finally, it concluded with this declaration. The declaration is that the other world is possible. The people's dreams are still live and kicking. Socialism is still live and kicking. And there is need of wider solidarity. We have to say no to new liberalism, say no to new fascism, and say no to all kind of operations which is happening across the globe, and especially in the countries of Brics. That is Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa.
İnkılabo, inkılabo, inkılabo, inkılab.
Zindabad, zindabad, zindabad, zindabad.
İnkılabo, inkılabo, inkılabo, inkılab.
Zindabad, zindabad, zindabad, zindabad.
حق الشهيد واجب والثورة
واجب
والحرية
واجب
اشتراكية
واجب
حق الشهيد
واجب
والثورة
واجب
ثورة
ثورة
ثورة ثورة ثورة
Вставай, проклятием заклеменный, весь мир голодных и рабов.
Героев возмущенных и смертный бой вести готов. Весь мир насилием и разрушен до основания, а затем мы новый мир построим. Кто был ничем, тот станет всем. Это есть наш наставник, пережил за вина, сын Пермас, а имя нас узнал.